Hello again and welcome back to The Front Row, a minor production of the First Congregational Church in South Peak, and where our intent is to bring snippets from our Sunday morning message into your week. We are culminating this massive warning label conversation today. Man, we have spun the gamut from appreciating that this is a very difficult conversation that is rife with risk of offense, risk of a tendency toward legalism, risk of dismissal, risk of ignorance, all of these things. And I just encourage us to enter into it with that awareness and a growing awareness of how I believe it should impact our lives. Because we are called to these spiritual disciplines. We are called to live a life worthy of the gospel. We are called to live a life in alignment with the way and the teachings and the example of Jesus on this earth. And one of the spiritual disciplines that we see outlined in the New Testament, in the way that Jesus lived, in the way that Jesus taught, in the way the disciples lived and taught, was this discipline of simplicity. And it's a complex conversation around inner life and outer life. This is the one discipline that has the most outward expression that people can see in our neighborhoods and in our families. And so we have to be really aware, I believe, of where we are in our inward discipline and how that is expressing itself outwardly. We have to be conscious of that and intentional about it. 3 ways that we can approach it. We talked about it over the last couple of days. I'm getting the third one today, but the first one is to appreciate that everything is a gift from God. The second is to realize that ultimately, even though we have stewardship responsibilities, that God is taking care of his stuff. It's his stuff. He's given it to us for a season, and ultimately he's responsible for its care. So we can release the worries about it. Jesus, in the context of this seeking first the kingdom and his righteousness, he's talking about the lilies of the field and the birds of the air and how God cares for that. Well, he's going to care for our stuff too. We need to be reasonable, not leave it out in the weather, yada, 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 yada. But ultimately we can release the care of our stuff to God. The third thing that puts us in this expression of freedom and release of anxiety, that we don't have to worry about our stuff, is if we can grow in our spirit of generosity and allowing our stuff to be available to others. Now, again, caveats abound in the sense that we need to be responsible. We're not going to give a 14-year-old our motorcycle, right? Our sport bike or our sports car. If they aren't equipped to manage it or handle it, if it would be irresponsible of us to actually gift something to someone else or allow them to use it, then we need to be careful there. But it's really about the spirit and the willingness, the generosity that is involved. And if we see someone in need and we have something that can meet that need, why would we not give it to them? Ultimately, it was a gift to us from God. God's in control of it all. And is he nudging us? Is he encouraging us? Is he giving it to us? Maybe even for this very purpose, to bless someone else's life. Maybe temporarily, we're just loaning it to them, or we may be actually giving it to them. If you look into the teachings of the New Testament in particular, Old Testament has it in there as well, but when you look in the New Testament, it is pretty direct that we are to be caring for our neighbors. Who is our neighbor? And how do we do it? I mean, go back to the parable of the Good Samaritan. Man, the Samaritan picked this guy up, took him to an inn, paid for his stay there, paid for his medical care, and then told the innkeeper, if he inquires any other expenses, I'll be back around and I'll cover that as well. What is the example in this and other teachings of our need to have a generous spirit of caring for those around us? God has given us these blessings, these things, and they are not ours to hoard. They're not ours to covet. They are ours to steward well, and that very well could mean blessing the world around us with them. This is the mindset and the heart set, the internal understanding as we grow in our understanding of the stewardship of simplicity. There's a whole lot more to it. As with all of these spiritual disciplines, we can barely scratch the surface, but I hope our conversation this week has given you something to chew on, something to consider, something that might even change your life. Blessings to you. Have a fantastic rest of your day. Bye-bye for now.